Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Will. Thank you for joining us today for the session Phygital Experiences Designing AV for the New Reality. Today we're going to explore how AV is no longer just about screens and sound. It's the backbone of environments where physical and digital merge in powerful immersive ways. First, we'll dive into 5 real-world Phygital use cases, dissecting the AV design and engineering underneath them. And then we'll connect these back to practical solutions that make these kind of experiences possible. But before we dive into today's webinar, I would like to just give you a quick intro of who we are as a company. So PureLink was founded in 2002 by Minsu. The journey began when Minsu identified a weakness in the original HTCP specification. He recognized that there was a lack of support for commercial applications, so he partnered with Intel to reshape its future, to set and stage for our pioneering role as PureLink in the AV industry. And here we have a brief timeline for the past 2 decades of our industry first. This year, we have our first push-go meeting room solutions, where we have a plug-and-play conference room type of setup where it helps integrators and engineers to be able to quickly set up for their client needs. And here's a show of different brands of what makes PureLink. First, we have Icon, which is our control and automation. Then we have PushGo, which is our plug-and-play meeting room systems that we recently launched this year. Then we have our media access, our 10th generation cross-platform matrix. Then our PureStream, which is our AV over IP scalable solution. And Pure Media, which is actually the predecessor of the media access, our first generation of the original cross-platform matrix switcher. And then our HD tools, which is our quick off-the-shelf everyday AV solutions that you will need. And then finally, Total Wire for total connectivity. So PureLink has been around for over 2 decades, and we've helped out more than 400 clients, provided support for whatever the needs are. As you can see, we've helped out companies that are part of Fortune 500, whether it be in the military, financial institutions, entertainment, universities, the cruise industry, and many more. So just to start today's webinar, what is Phygital? What do we mean by Phygital? At its core, Phygital is the blending of physical and digital into one immersive environment. It's not simply putting a screen in a room, it's creating a space where interaction feels continuous and natural. In Phygital spaces, technology enables presence, connection, and collaboration in ways that were previously siloed. Whether you're physically present or dialing in remotely, the experience is supposed to feel part of the same world. So the big question is, why Phygital now? Why is Phygital really relevant today? So there are a few major drivers. As you can see, the first major driver is the hybrid reality. So work, education, and entertainment have all shifted. People have moved between physical offices, remote meetings, and virtual classrooms, which creates integrated spaces. The second major driver is the rising expectations of digital applications. Users now expect more than passive viewing. They want an environment that are more interactive, responsive, and emotionally engaging, which makes the experience more memorable for any customers, employees, or students. The third major driver is scalable efficiency. Adding digital layers on top of physical infrastructure allows rapid content updates, scalability across locations, and it lowers costs over time. And then the fourth major driver of digital applications is real-time engagement. Thanks to modern technology, including fast networks, rendering engines, automations, we can enable multi-sensory real-time engagement that feels immediate and alive. So, today's phygital experiences. To bring this concept to life, let's examine how phygital is being implemented across 5 different industries. Each is effectively a case study showing how AV plays a critical role in delivering immersive hybrid experiences. So, the first industry I would like to talk about are theme parks. Theme parks are one of the clearest examples of phygital environments at a scale. For example, at Universal's Harry Potter and the Escape from Grimgotts is a perfect case study to bring up for phygital experience. What makes this ride so impressive is that it blends physical sets, motion-based vehicles, and high-resolution projected media into a single unified storytelling layer. Now, from an AV standpoint, this is a masterclass multi-system synchronization system, which encompasses large format projection and integrating directly with physical scenery, immersive audio, real-time media playback that aligns with every minuscule movement of the ride, along with environmental effects like lighting, fog, triggered by AV cues. This ride shows that there's operational efficiency as well as AI and digital twin systems are optimized to coordinate the ride with the AV applications in place. This ride shows where the industry is heading towards tight deterministic integration between physical effects and digital content to create the illusion that the two worlds are seamlessly connected. Now, the second layer is how these rides are operated and optimized. Modern parks are increasingly using AI models and, as mentioned before, digital twins, where AV becomes part of a real-time operational ecosystem. A digital twin is essentially a live virtual replica of the entire attraction, the vehicles, the lighting rigs, the projection systems, the media servers, even the crowd flow. It replicates what the physical ride is going to be like. It is the blueprint for a lot of the engineers and designers to allow operators to pre-test new content, evaluate timing, simulate throughout without ever touching the physical ride itself. Now, AI sits on top of the digital twins to analyze playback performances, latency between triggered events, environmental sensor data, wear and tear indicators on AV equipment, and rider throughput and dwell time. For AV teams, this means fewer emergency resets, earlier detection of misalignment and connection errors, and faster ability to refresh content because updates can be validated digitally before deployment. This leads to bigger driver, which also leads to scalable, cost-efficient storytelling. Physical sets are expensive to rebuild. Digital layers are not. Digital media allows parks to update and experience seasonally or even dynamically without reconstructing entire show sets. The takeaway for us in the AV standpoint is that the future of theme entertainment relies on precise physical digital synchronization, aka phygital application, real-time network media distribution, and AI assisted reliability. AV is no longer just a delivery layer, it's the backbone holding the entire phygital illusion together for theme park industries. Now, to move on to the second industry, we have the corporate industry. So the corporate industry is undergoing one of the fastest transformations toward digital environments. First one, we have our immersive training labs. Corporations are increasingly moving away from classroom-style training toward immersive simulation labs. These environments blend physical spaces like mock control rooms, conference environments, manufacturing floors, medical suites, with virtual overlays, interactive displays, and cloud-based simulation platforms. A great example of the rise of the hybrid onboarding simulations where new hires are brought into a physical room equipped with LED walls, projection map surfaces, and touch displays. AV systems allow trainees to interact with real equipment while seeing digitally rendered workflows, AI-driven scenarios, and real-time feedback on displays around them. What's driving the shift is repeatability and scalability. Instead of bringing hundreds of people to a single training facility, companies can unify the experience across locations through identical AV environments, synchronized content, and centralized control. Something that's only possible when AV systems are integrated tightly with simulation software. Now, the second point to the industry is the integrated analytics and signage. Digital signage in corporate campuses used to be static, but today it's contextual, analytical, and flexible. These displays are tied into AV networks and corporate data systems, so employees see live operational insights on large format displays, touchscreen kiosks, and huddle room monitors. It's an AV infrastructure problem, routing dynamic content, securely ensuring low latency updates, and synchronizing visual across buildings. Now, for an example of a practical use of phygital experiences for the corporate industry, we have a case study called the Deloitte's AI Simulation Center of Excellence. So this highlights how major corporations are leaning into simulation-based learning. Deloitte earlier this year, in March 2025, announced a significant scaling of its global artificial intelligence, pulling in $3 billion to create this AI program to apply a phygital experience. So as an AV standpoint, this is where we come in with the AI and modeling that Deloitte has pooled money into. AV is here to make these simulations usable through large-scale LED visualization walls, multi-zone audio for guided instructions, real-time rendered environments, multi-source routing so different groups see customized content, and control systems to automate scenario switching. Even in corporate simulation centers, it's the AV backbone that turns complex software into an actual experience people can interact with. And lastly, drivers, right? So what's the driving corporate move toward digital? What is the reason why corporate industries are moving to this application? First, it's engaging. People retain more when training is interactive and immersive. Second is innovation. Corporations want environments that demonstrate cutting-edge technology to clients, partners, and recruits. So it creates a new, cleaner brand for their company. Third is scalability. Companies operating across regions need consistent training, consistent messaging, and the ability to update content instantly. AV enables synchronized global experiences. So in short, the modern enterprise is becoming an experience-driven environment powered by AV, not just for collaboration, but for learning, simulations, and innovative enablement. Now, onto the third industry, are the higher educations, right? Universities. Higher education has also become one of the fastest evolving AV environments over the last 5 years, largely because universities are now competing not just academically, but for the experience for students to come. The classroom is no longer just a teaching space, it's a brand asset, a recruitment tool, and a measurable performance driver. And AV is right at the center of this transformation for all universities across the nation. So just to break down what's happening, flexible classrooms and hybrid learning. Universities are reconfiguring traditional lecture halls into flexible hybrid environments that support synchronous and asynchronous learning equally well. So the AV plays a foundational role here. One is AI camera tracking, which automatically follows instructors as they move, preserving continuity for remote students. There's no camera operator, no manual switching. They rely entirely on intelligent framing and motion tracking. The second is LED teaching walls, which replace projectors in many STEM and business programs because they allow extremely high brightness and multi-source display layouts. Professors can present live content, digital simulations, and student work side by side. And third is the interactive content system from multi-viewers to annotation layers, which help bridge the physical-digital divide so remote students aren't passive watchers. They become participants. And these systems create a phygital environment where local and remote students receive nearly the same visual information, engagement opportunities, and clarity of content. If AV isn't designed with the right switching speed, network backbone, or interactive layer, the entire hybrid experience breaks down. Now, the second part of the higher education are the lab and training spaces that universities are accompanied with. And a perfect example is the Arizona State University Virtual Lab. Arizona State University built one of the largest virtual learning ecosystems in the country. They use virtual reality for engineering labs, medical simulations, and as mentioned before, in the theme park industry, digital twins of machinery and immersive storytelling programs. This isn't a niche. Other schools now treat virtual reality as an option for a competitive differentiator for their school brand. Engineering departments are in arms race to recruit students by offering cutting-edge simulation environments. Business schools are adopting virtual reality for negotiation, training, and virtual collaboration. Nursing programs use virtual reality for diagnostics and emergency scenarios. From an AV standpoint, these simulation labs rely on high bandwidth IP distribution to move 4K or virtual reality rendered content across multiple rooms, low latency switching paths to simulate response, multi-zone audio control for realistic environments or instructor feedback, and finally centralized management and scheduling because these labs run like enterprise training centers. If the AV isn't robust, simulations break immersion, and once you break the immersion, you lose the educational effect for these labs in different departments. And now for the fourth industry, esports and sports entertainment. So esports and sports entertainment, this is an area where AV isn't just supporting the experience, it is the experience. Because in esports specifically, low latency is non-negotiable. These events rely on real-time synchronization between players' feed, the game engine output, in-venue spectator displays, and online streaming platforms. Even a 200 to 300 millisecond delay between gameplay and the LED wall will break the immersion and confuse both the fans and players, or not even confuse, it'll lead to dissatisfaction between the fans and players. This is why esports venues typically deploy fully IP-based distribution, often leveraging 10 gigabytes to over 25 gigabyte infrastructures with encoders and decoders optimized for subframe latency. For example, at Riot Games, esports arenas, systems are designed so that the video hits the wall within a frame or two of the real game engine output. You can't do that without carefully having an engineer design an AV over IP pipeline, incorporating compression, network, QoS, clocking, and multicast management. So in modern esports, broadcasts push 10 to 20 simultaneous sources like into LED walls, in-game POV screens, mobile apps, multi-viewer displays, VIP lounges, and remote production trucks. So this shows how AV distribution becomes something closer to a live broadcast engineering environment than a traditional venue for AV rig. For interactive fan engagement, sports entertainment today isn't passive. Fans expect layered interactivity. You'll see more like augmented reality overlays on large format displays, real-time stats pulled from player biometrics, ball speed, or gameplay data, second screen apps syncing live with main events, gamified elements such as prediction games or audience-triggered visual effects. All of this requires AV that can ingest, process, and output dynamic content in real time, often pulling from cloud engines, data, APIs, and real-time renders like Unreal Engine. Now for sports entertainment and venues like Topgolf and Batbox, we're also seeing a Phygital trend with these type of sports venue as well. Topgolf uses Doppler radar to track ball trajectories, integrates real-time scoring overlays on displays, layers digital game modes on top of physical driving range, and the AV perspective, this ties the entire experience together with displays, leaderboards, the control system, interactive UI, and live feedback. For Batbox, which is a baseball simulation entertainment, this deploys ultra high-speed cameras to track pitches, hits, and ball physics. It also streams motion data into simulator engines. And again, from an AV standpoint, you need to tie all this experience together for the whole simulation to be a good immersive experience for the customers. And just to, again, Topgolf, Batbox, these are not venues with screens. These are software-driven physical experiences, which shows that AV can bridge those experiences together. Real-time control and IP distribution. whether it's an esport arena or a golf simulation venue. AV distribution must manage dozens to hundreds of endpoints, maintain frame accurate sync, scale across zones, integrate with lighting, audio, AV trigger events, and sensors. This allows operators to route any source to any display instantly. This is where real-time control systems come in, and not just switching video, but for orchestrating a whole entire ecosystem together. And the driving factors, what's the reason why this is happening in sports and esports industry, right? First is fan immersion. Sports venues must compete with home theaters, mobile content, and virtual reality, but Phygital AV application will help create something you can't get at home, which is the biggest difference for these companies to get people out of their home and drive revenue, which relates to the second reason, monetization. Premium experiences like VIP zones, interactive bays, augmented reality activations drive higher revenue per visitor. And then the third reason, multi-location scalability. Chains like Topgolf and BatBox must deploy repeatable and centrally managed AV ecosystems across dozens of sites. This pushes for repeated IP distributed content, scalable control, and cloud managed AV systems. And then finally, diving into the fifth industry, we have the retail industry. So first, we have interactive stores, right? Interactive stores have become more popular as the retail industry has become one of the fastest shifting sectors that incorporates these phygital landscapes. Interactive stores and modern experiential retail stores no longer primarily place where transaction happens. It is a media environment. Brands now treat the physical store as a content platform and not just a location where transaction happens as a sale, right? Something AV integrators are directly now responsible for creating an architecture for. Interactive digital layers of this backbone for this evolution would be augmented and virtual reality product configurators that let customers visualize options in real time. Next would be projection mapping, used to transform static displays into dynamic storytelling pieces of the brand, of the product for the store. And next we have immersive LED canvases, which run real-time content tied to customer interactions. And lastly, smart mirrors using embedded displays, camera vision to overlay virtual outfits, accessories, or product augmentations. So what drives these investments for phygital landscapes for the retail sector, right? It's pretty simple. It's one word, personalization, which means hands-on interaction for the customers to be more engaged with the retail stores. Now, across nearly every retail study in the last 2 years, customers are more likely to purchase and spend more when the experience adapts to them, personalization, and that might incorporate digital signage, recommendation engines, which feed tailored content to the customers, multi-touch interfaces enabling guided discovery, and interactive zones supporting product demos with contextual media. From an AV standpoint, this means dynamic routing, sensor integration analytics, and content delivery system that responds in real time. Perfect example we have of this is the Rivian concept store located in New York City. So the Rivian concept store is located in the meatpacking, and it's designed primarily as an immersive storytelling space of how the brand came to be and why they believe their brand and product is good for the customer, and they show it through personalization. As you can see, they have massive LED displays, synchronized lighting, ambient audio to build a narrative around the brand and product. Interactive exhibits allows customers to see charging setups, designing their own vehicle, and explore accessories with digital overlays instead of actually going to the car and waiting like the older days, just having to walk around and see the different models of the car. They can now see through digital space. And now, from an AV standpoint, AV becomes the product for the store. It controls the media environment. And so, what's the driving factor for the retails, right? Ultimately, the reason behind all of this is the need to turn stores into destinations, not transaction centers. The retailers cannot compete on price alone, but they can compete on experience, which is a huge reason why digital applications are being created for the retail stores. And so now AV technology are being incorporated for immersive content, real-time product configuration, multi-zone synchronized displays, digital storytelling, and hybrid online-offline engagement. For AV engineers, retail is no longer about mounting screens. It's about building a responsive, scalable, content-driven environment that merges digital media and physical space seamlessly. So here we have 4 AV design principles that are meant for the digital landscape. First is seamless distribution. Digital environments depend on the ability to move high bandwidth content across multiple zones without drift and delay. Second principle is physical digital synchronization. This is the heart of Phygital, which every time a physical action triggers a digital response that requires sensor fusion, precise timing, deterministic switching, and reliable control signaling. Synchronization is needed to be frame accurate to the sub-second. If audio-visual playback, lighting, motion, and interactive cues aren't perfectly aligned, the illusion breaks and the experience becomes distracting instead of immersive. And now the third principle behind Phygital is low latency, and this is non-negotiable. In Phygital environments, latency isn't just an engineering statistic, it's a psychological threshold. Once you cross about 50 to 80 milliseconds, users begin to sense a disconnect between their experience, and beyond 150 milliseconds, interactive experiences become noticeably sluggish. And finally, the fourth principle, redundancy. Phygital systems operate in environments where failure isn't an option, whether it's live attraction, a university lecture, or corporate executive training session. Redundancy has to be built at every layer: source redundancy, network path redundancy, failure control logic, backup power, endpoint routing, and mirrored processors or encoders. Basically a backup server where the main server fails at a live event or a live experience. The backup or redundant server slash system can take over immediately without the user noticing the switch. This ensures that if any users or customers who are in a live event don't notice the difference between failure for the brand or the event that's happening, they can have a seamless experience. So these 4 principles, seamless distribution, synchronization, low latency, and redundancy, form the engineering blueprint for every successful Phygital deployment, regardless of the 5 industries we've talked about previously. So what are the key technologies for Phygital landscape? First, we have AV over IP. This is really the backbone of modern Phygital design. It gives us scalable, low latency distribution across many zones, rooms, or buildings as we need. Instead of re-engineering the infrastructure every time you expand, AV over IP lets you grow dynamically, adding more endpoints and keeping the system scalable in a more cost-efficient option. And then the second key technology we have here are the dynamic displays, which are LED walls, projection mapping, interactive touch surfaces, which are now the default canvas for Phygital content. Third key technology we have is AI automation, which handles camera tracking, automated framing, content adaptation, and analytics. In hybrid rooms or training environments, this reduces the need for manual control and ensures the experience remains seamless. And now the fourth key technology we have are real-time rendering engines like Unreal or Unity, which gives us the ability to push live generated visuals into LED walls, simulators, or ride systems. Instead of pre-rendered content that becomes outdated, the environment responds dynamically to sensors, to user motion, or to live data. And now the fifth key technology we have is multi-viewers, which allow simultaneous monitoring and interactive control over many sources at once. So some insights we have are network architecture, control systems, calibration and sync, scalability, and flexibility. Network architecture, you need to have high bandwidth, redundant backbones, control systems to be able to control the architecture that the engineers are designing. Calibration and sync to align all video, audio, sensors, and other AV trigger events. Scalability for future-proofing systems, updates, evolving the experiences as time passes on. And then flexibility, which easily adapts for content workflows and space changes for the users. Now, looking forward to the future of Phygital AV, where are we heading next with it, right? Here's some trends we're tracking for the future of Phygital AV. First is hyper-personalized experiences with AI-driven content adaptation. AI will allow content to adapt dynamically to teach users. For example, training labs or corporate demo spaces. Participants could see tailored dashboards or instructional overlays specific to their role or learning processes. The second look we have is real-time environmental adaptation. AV systems will adjust lighting, audio levels, and display content automatically based on occupancy, activity, or mood. Imagine a university classroom where the system recognizes which students are active participants and adjusts camera angles based on the active students. And then the third look we have is cloud and edge integration, which is our high bandwidth content, which can be distributed and processed across the cloud and edge computing resources. This enables multi-site collaboration without any latency. And then the fourth outlook we have for advanced interactivity are gesture recognition, augmented reality overlays, haptic feedback, and predictive analytics, which enable spaces that are truly responsive to the user's intent. These trends show a future where phygital spaces are adaptive, intelligent, and deeply engaging. Systems won't just display content, they'll anticipate the needs, respond instantly, and create a truly immersive environment for learning, working, playing, or shopping. For engineers, this means designing a network control system, rendering pipelines that are flexible, redundant, and capable of scaling with these advanced capabilities, and to be able to future-proof the experience with any new ecosystems that need to be implemented in any phygital landscape. So now that we've talked about the different industries of phygital landscapes and the key components of it, the outlooks and the principles, I'd just like to go over some of our brands that I mentioned earlier. First is PureStream, which is our AV over IP brand, and how it could help the phygital landscape. So PureStream provides a scalable, low latency network AV infrastructure, which is needed for multi-zone and multi-site phygital environments. For example, in theme park scenario, PureStream can deliver synchronized media to projection zones, ride vehicles, queued areas, and backstage control rooms. In corporate labs, PureStream can stream remote participants, control simulations, and deliver real-time feedback for dashboards without requiring separate AV infrastructures. For the higher education department, AV over IP means lecture halls, virtual reality pods, remote classrooms, which can share content seamlessly with adaptive routing and minimal latency. And then in sports venues, the PureStream enables real-time camera feeds, scoreboard overlays, and content distribution across displays, in venue, and to remote audiences. And lastly, to relate to the fifth industry, the retail sector, PureStream can support dynamic interactive content, updating across multiple showrooms and interactive installations. PureStream's architecture is future-proof, which supports growth and reduces reliance on traditional point-to-point cabling. As you can see, our PureStream incorporates our icon and other PureStream AV over IP devices. And as mentioned before, Icon is our control and automation brand. And here is our media axis, our Max 2 cross-platform matrix switcher, which is our 10th generation cross-platform matrix switcher. To relate this to Phygital experiences, the theme park industry, Max 2 can ensure mission-critical visual feeds, control signals, and audios, which can be switched instantly, redundantly, without packet losses. For the higher education or corporate, for demo and training labs, right? Max provides dependable baseband switching when IP might be introduced or could be unpredictable with latency, and you want to guarantee certain signal paths. Max 2's there, as it provides cat, fiber, SDI, DisplayPort, HDMI. It really just depends on the application it's used for. In corporate environments, Max 2 can sit alongside AV over IP ecosystem as well, like local rooms using the Max 2 can remote in and share zones using PureStream, giving you the best of both worlds. As you can see, this is our Max 2. This would be our Max 2 20 by 20. The biggest frame it could go up to is 288 by 288. It really just depends on the application, right? You could, like I said before, it could sit side by side with an AV over IP landscape as well. And here our Icon brand, which is our control and automation brand. It centralizes control for displays, lighting, virtual reality pods, digital signage, and even automation routines. Like if you have any events that you would like to program into, let's say every morning for a conference room or a demo space, there's always going to be a demo every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. You can program Icon to activate or turn on the demo space room at 9 a.m., which is a signal cue. When it hits 9 a.m., turn on LED walls, turn on the TV, turn on the switcher, make sure the statuses are connected, and it'll show you the feedback, whether all the AV ecosystems are working well. And here is our other brand, PushGo, which incorporates Icon, but this is for more standard but still very important Phygital use cases like meeting rooms, training rooms, or hybrid collaboration spaces. PushGo offers a turnkey solution because this is where integrators or engineers need a plug-and-play system that include video, audio control, and cabling pre-configured and pre-programmed to save time. PushGo simplifies the deployment of these rooms, whether it's a corporate training center, university collaborative room, or boardroom. For engineers, this means less time on basic room setup and more time focusing on the Phygital innovation, as we will do the basic programming for you to control this for the PushGo plug-and-play system. And lastly, HD Tools, which is our everyday off-the-shelf AV hardware that we can provide for any smaller scale projects or existing systems that integrators or engineers might need for any current or future AV ecosystems and Phygital landscapes. This includes presentation switchers, converters, extractors, analyzers, and Dante-enabled audio interfaces. So just to wrap it all up for today's session, Phygital is not a futuristic concept. It's the evolving reality for companies, schools, theme parks, and entertainment venues. These 5 examples we covered show how physical and digital layers can be deeply integrated to drive engagement, learning, and branding experience. No matter what industry it is, theme, sports, retail, corporate, every company wants to build their brand. All brands want to incorporate more users, and in order to do that, Phygital has been a key factor for these industries. And PureLink provides the infrastructure to enable the Phygital landscape. Like I've said before, PureStream for scalable AV over IP, Max 2 for reliable baseband switching, Icon for intuitive control and automation, PushGo for easy meeting room deployment, and HD Tools for flexible, essential AV building blocks. So if you're thinking about designing or upgrading a phygital space, whether in corporate training, higher ed, entertainment, retail, we would love to help. So we would like to just mention here, we do have a test drive program. You can try out any PureLink product for 30 days. It'll be treated as a demo, and then we can move on from there. And before I end this session, just like to invite everyone to join our PureLink community through our various different social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to contact us at sales@purelinkab.com or call us at 201-488-3232. Thank you for joining us. I hope I was able to give you guys a new perspective or a different outlook for the AV landscape for the Phygital experience. Thank you.